Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our second edition of the Freedom Crusaders show, where we interview heart-centered freedom crusaders to pull out their best tips, ideas, strategies, and stories to inspire and empower you on your journey to financial freedom. And friends, I'm super excited about the guest that we have today. This is a guy I've known for several years via the internet. We've kind of, admired each other from afar, and then we've gotten to know each other here a little bit better over the last few months. But this is a guy who's been succeeding in entrepreneurship for 2 decades. He's an e-commerce prodigy. He's had tons of success in e-commerce. And in this interview, I'd love to dig into some of that as well. He's also had success in network marketing, and all of the, he's a mentor. Actually, let me read his official intro here that he sent me. I want to make sure I don't miss anything. Here's how Dan McCall describes himself: a family man, a mentor, a coach, e-commerce professional, multi-store owner, co-founder of the E-commerce Gold Club, multi-e-commerce course owner, affiliate market expert, 2-decade-long entrepreneur, decade-long martial artist, co-founder of the Whatever It Takes Wednesday show, and just a whatever it takes kind of guy. I love that about you, Dan. And I also love, I'll throw on 2 other little notes here. Dan's also a family man. He recently got married to a beautiful woman. They've got beautiful children. And so in addition to all of his success in entrepreneurship, he's a family man. And the last thing that I'll say about Dan before we, just dig in and start to pull out his best stuff is that he's also someone that I consider to be a very heart-centered person. He cares about people. He cares about principles. He wants to do things the right way. And this is another reason that he's here on the show, because these are the types of people that we like to interview. So Mr. Dan McCall, welcome to the Freedom Crusader show. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm great, man. I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Made my coffee here. Got some fresh coffee.
Life of an entrepreneur, right? You drink coffee, you can eat breakfast, you can do whatever you want to do as you're doing your thing. So that's good stuff. So let's jump right in, Dan. And I want to find out, who is Dan McCall? Like, how did he come into this world? Where was he born? Tell me a little bit about your beginnings in life, if you don't mind.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm from Deptford, New Jersey, originally from Woodbury, New Jersey. I'm a sibling of 7, 7 brothers and sisters. Great parents. Grew up with great parents. Great lead by example. I actually just started writing a book. I'm on the 3rd chapter, and I'm just writing a lot about my parents in the most recent chapter. But yeah. So I grew up here in New Jersey. I wasn't always the greatest kid. I mean, I got a lot of trouble. A lot of people, like in the entrepreneurial type of space, don't really know it, but I was suspended from school like every year for fighting, and just got in a lot of trouble. Just hung out with I guess the wrong crowd. I mean, maybe I was the wrong crowd. Maybe I was the bad influence, really. And I can't even blame it on other people, right? Because we got to take ownership, right, for what we do. But yeah, just growing up, I didn't graduate from high school. I dropped out my second 10th grade year, and it's funny because I just didn't want to really. I like self-education. Like, so like in like 97, 98, I got invited to a meeting. It was a network marketing meeting with a company called Amway. And I fell in love with two things from going to that meeting. I fell in love with one. I fell in love with the idea of financial freedom. Be able to come and go as you please, do what you want, when you want, with whom you want, and just live life on your terms. Have freedom. And the second thing I fell in love with was like what Tony Robbins calls like CANI, like constant, never-ending improvement. And just like self-education. So like when I was in high school, I didn't really like being taught like science, or like social studies about stuff that I wasn't interested in. I wanted to educate myself about things that can improve my situation. So it's kind of funny. I went on in that network marketing journey, and I really, I failed, almost 2 years doing that. I signed up my brother, my dad. My dad was like an influential entrepreneur. I thought I would maybe get rich if I signed him up, because I figured he could sign everybody else up, and you know what I mean. And that didn't work out very well. But yeah. So in my early 20s, I ended up starting a landscape. Actually, at 19 years old, I started a landscaping business, and it's kind of funny because my friends were going to college and getting out of college, and they were getting jobs for like $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a year. And by my early 20s, I had a nice 6-figure income owning a landscaping business. And It's just, it just goes to show you, like, in my opinion, like the power of self-education. Like if you just educate yourself in exactly what you need to succeed, it's just so powerful. I mean, I don't downplay college or anything like that. I know you went to college, Paul. I think it's good to, I think it's great, especially if you educate yourself in a way that can help you, rather than just spinning your wheels and not having any direction. But hey, sometimes people just need to go through the motion, I guess, to figure out what they want to do. But anyway, I got you up to speed up from I guess my childhood up to like me starting to have success in my entrepreneurial journey. Did you have any questions about any of that stuff? Or?
Yeah, absolutely, man. So first question, I'll jump back to the first thing you said.
I know I keep talking, I'm like you.
No, you're good, man. You're good. You're like me. That's funny. So you're a Jersey guy. And so my first question is, I mean, apparently there are nice guys in Jersey, because you seem like a really great guy, right? So like, what's Jersey like growing up in Jersey? I mean, I have sort of like a preconceived notion of like the Northeast is kind of like, like, I don't know, fast, maybe ruthless, maybe like, I don't know. What's it like? Is that wrong? Is there some accuracy there?
I like that. I like that question, because I hear a lot of people say that. Like, I've heard lots of people like, especially like, since I'm like a professional networker, right? I know people in every state in the country and outside of the country and stuff. And a lot of people come off definitely come off like that. I'm not surprised that New Jersey stereotype is like fast paced, possibly ignorant. Like there are people like that are like that, so I don't know. I mean, it's just New Jersey. I mean, it's just it's just where I don't know exactly how to answer it. I mean, it's just where I'm from. It's definitely higher paced, like, than like lots of other areas in the country. Because if I go travel, I'm always like, all right, hurry up, get to the point. Hurry up, get to the point. Like, I am more fast paced. Sometimes I think that's like goes to being an entrepreneur too, because it's like the more money you make, the more you value your time. You know what I mean? And the more you're trying to accomplish, the more you value your time. You're always trying to compress time. You know what I mean? Like I just got on this show. I'll just tell you guys this little quick short story. Like something like I did network marketing meetings for like a couple years at my house. And I used to so I would feel good and get my endorphins flowing and stuff like that. I would usually, like, if I had to do the meeting, because it would make me feel nervous and it would make me feel more settled if I did this, I would go run like a mile, do like some quick calisthenics, work out. And since I wasn't on the driver's seat today on this show, and I usually do my show, like, since I'm the person being interviewed, I'm like, I feel a little bit more nervous than I normally feel. So I'm going to go do what I used to do for the network marketing meetings. And I'm going to go work out. And I did like 100 jumping jacks, 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups. Like, I did like a quick calisthenic workout prior to this, just to get my endorphins flowing and make sure that I do a good job delivering information and make sure I'm really alert, like, and those kinds of things. I don't know if you can,
I love it. That's a great tip. That's a great tip for like changing your state and getting into a good mindset before you do anything public. I love that. I love that tip. So Jersey, if I was to say Jersey is kind of like, don't tell me about the delivery, just show me the baby. Is that kind of like somewhat of the attitude? Like, get to the point. Let's get stuff done. Let's make it happen.
Yeah. I would say like more to the point. Yeah. Like people just don't like the BS, man. They just want to get in and get out. You know what I mean? And, so if I was prospecting you on the phone and I asked you questions like, tell me about yourself, like, are you married? Do you have kids? Like, would that annoy you, or would you be open to having a little bit of a conversation like that for all of our network marketers out there that might be connecting with people from the Northeast? Yeah. Great question. And what I'm going to say, I wouldn't say is the right or the wrong answer. I'll just say it's my perspective. This is just my opinion. I think if you're interested in people, you know what I mean, they're just going to be happy to share, like,
Yeah.
People like to talk about themselves, I think, across the board. This is just my opinion, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
People like to talk about themselves. And, it's funny because I remember the first time we talked on the phone, I was getting ready to ask you questions and you kept beating me to the punch, asking me questions. He's definitely a salesperson and a networker because he's asking me questions and I'm not getting to ask him questions as much as I usually do.
That's so funny. Two networkers coming together trying to have a conversation. That's hilarious. So let me ask you this. One other question about Jersey, and then I want to ask you a little bit about your parents. Because you mentioned, I could sense that there was a lot of really great stuff that you got from your parents. So last question about Jersey. The place you grew up, was it a safe place? Was there a lot of crime? Did you feel safe growing up?
Yeah, I felt pretty safe growing up. I mean, there's definitely a lot of crime around here. I mean, there's definitely, yeah. I'm like not sure exactly what I should say.
It's all good. We don't have to.
I have some gangsters coming looking for me. but yeah, no, I mean, it was cool. It was cool growing up here. It was, it's not too bad. I mean, there's definitely a lot better places, but bad things happen everywhere. I mean,
yeah,
growing up, I mean, like I do have some pretty tough stories, like growing up, like my childhood friends and my neighborhood and stuff like that. Like two of them went to jail for bank robbery, and one of them
died. Like friends, your buddies, like you knew these guys.
My childhood friends, two of them went to jail for bank robbery, and one of them died on the back of the New Jersey Transit with a needle hanging out of his arm, and
oh my gosh,
guy got stabbed to death. I mean, our town isn't that bad. It's just a matter of I hung out with the wrong people, I guess, or like I said before, I'll take ownership. Maybe I was a bad influence when I was younger, but I'm not that person anymore.
Wow. That's incredible. So how did you make the shift from like being on that track to, changing direction and getting onto a better path?
Yeah, I mean, I always wanted more out of my life. I mean, especially like being introduced to like network marketing at 19 years old and stuff like that, like with Amway and stuff like that. I was just addicted to to having a better lifestyle, you know what I mean? And I just seeked it for a long time. And I think, I'm your age, Paul. I think like in my mid 20s, like I just really I got into martial arts in my mid to late 20s. I got more serious about my faith in my mid to late 20s, just matured as an adult, you know what I mean? And, before that, yeah, I mean, it wasn't the same, you know what I mean? It wasn't the same, but Tony Robbins talks about, growth being like a key ingredient to happiness, you know what I mean? Like I'm always focused on growing, and just becoming a better person over time. And I would say my faith in martial arts has really played a role in kind of grounding me to move on, to keep on being a better person. And not that I was a horrible person before, but I just wasn't as good of a person as I could have been. I was, as much as I got in trouble, like my morals were always pretty good. Like, telling my friends, don't do that, that ain't right. You know what I mean? Like I was still being a good person. It's just like, but I don't know, maybe I was attracted to that kind of stuff. The law of attraction, like I don't know. You don't like people that don't understand the law of attraction don't really realize how much they're being affected by it and stuff like that, Yeah. So now, I've become more and more over the last, 2 decades or so, just just learning how to love my friends or family or whoever they might be from a distance, and just not my Monday through Friday, not my DMO, but maybe have a drink on the weekend or something like that if I run into XYZ or whatever, you know what I mean? But yeah, I don't know if you can relate to that. It's like,
oh, for sure.
You're you're gonna love them from a distance, it's like, doesn't mean you don't care about people. It's just like, you love them from the distance because you're just like, if I'm around you too much, I'm gonna start acting like you, walking like you, talking like you, being like you, making money like you, or being broke like you or whatever. You just afraid, you become afraid, you start to protect your space, over time, as you understand the law of attraction. And this, Paul, this stuff doesn't really happen overnight. I mean, you're the best example that I've seen, like, of being like a practitioner of growth, being a practitioner of the book, Think and Grow Rich. Like, that's one thing I admire about you. I'm like, he's humble. Like he doesn't act like he knows it all. Like, like he's just like, figuring it out too. You know what I mean? And because you're so humble, you're able to give great advice. You're able to, you're able to help more people, so I definitely admire that about you, man. So, and
I appreciate that. And
I'm grateful for you inviting me here, to do this, this first call or second one or whatever.
I see a lot of that in you, and maybe that's why we're sort of attracted to each other, but I appreciate that's a huge compliment. Two thoughts, two of my favorite quotes that came to mind as you were talking about the friends is, first one is love everyone, but follow the few. And then the other one you hit on is some people are better loved from a distance. And I think that's so important to realize that we can still love everyone, but we just love them from, a little bit far away because it's better for our own, path. So appreciate those thoughts. And so tell me about your parents. When you were talking about your parents, I could really see kind of like your face and your soul light up a little bit.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, they just had such a powerful impact on my life. And we haven't always had everything. Like, we used to sit on milk crates and watch television on concrete floor. Like, we weren't like poor, but like just back then it was like the state of being poor is different than the state of being poor now. It's like, it's like, people like, it was just a different time. Like, it wasn't like we had it so bad, but like, but we, grew up like, just with whatever we can get our hands on, but my mother, she's always been such a great example. She'd, work, multiple jobs, and, she was like a single parent for a lot of our childhood. My dad and her separated when I was very young, like 1 or 2 years old. And he was the one that I got to learn more of the entrepreneurial stuff from, because he owned a concrete business for 40 something years. And I would get to work with him in the summertime. And I was just writing this in my book. I was talking about the whatever it takes philosophy. And like, growing up with my dad, he would always be like I would work with him and I would be like, what do I do right here? How do I do this? And he was like fast paced of the Jersey, like description that I was given. Like, he would be like, just do whatever it takes, And then you go back to work. And then I'd be like, well, how do you do this? I'd be like, just do whatever it takes, And he would always say that, do whatever it takes. And so by working with him and like watching him lead by example, he'll never tell you to do something he's not willing to do. You know what I mean? So he would always be leading the forefront, like that whole leader thing, how the leader's in the front instead of being held up on the, ever see that, like that meme where they're holding the leader up and he's just sitting on the thing being lazy. Yeah. My dad would be like in the front, you know what I mean? My mom would be in the front, like in everything they do, like always leading by example. So like with my dad anyway, with the summertime, like, working with him in the summertime, stuff like that, always tell me, do whatever it takes. And I didn't really realize that I adopt that philosophy all the way back in my teenage years like that, like until like I like dug into myself. It was like, wow, that started back then, because when I started a business, like I would do whatever it takes. Like whatever it takes. Like that was my answer to everything, and that becomes your answer to everything. There's no like, all right, there's no roadblock. You know what I mean? It's like, you're going to do whatever it takes. You're going to go around it. You're going to go under it. You're going to go over it. You're going to do whatever it takes. And I'm really grateful for him leading by example, owning his business and always telling me just do whatever it takes. Like, you know what I mean? And then embedding that belief into my head to where that's what the answer is. Everybody wants to know what the answer is. They want to know what the secret is. Well, you can call that one of them, whatever it takes. There's many secrets, you know what I mean? Really, in all reality. And there's, it's just a matter of what, sometimes it's a matter of what secret you need to hear at what time, you know what I mean? Like, right. So, but yeah, so grateful for that. Like my mother, I just wrote her a letter for our wedding. She was just there for us, like every step of the way, like, with me and my wife getting married. And I just feel like we wouldn't even have got married if it wasn't for her. Like, she just directing things and orchestrating everything. Like she's just an amazing woman. You know what I mean? And I'm definitely blessed. For my parents. They have different kinds of attributes. You know what I mean? That I get to learn from. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
I don't know.
I love that, man. I love that. And I love, your mom reminds me of my mom. My mom worked many jobs. She was a single parent for most of my life growing up. And I learned a lot from her, I just love how you're finding those lessons, regardless of whether your mom was an entrepreneur or not. Like you learning from your mom where she was at, learning from your dad where he's at. And I think that's just one of the attitudes of the successful freedom crusading entrepreneurs. They're seeking those answers and lessons wherever they might come. That attitude of humility that you were talking about. So great stuff, man. And so before we jump on to the business stuff, you've got, how many kids do you have right now?
I've got 3. Can I say something about what you were just saying real quick?
Yeah, for sure. Yep.
Yeah, like, when you were just talking about that, like your parents and like the different kinds of people and stuff like that. Like I see a lot of people, like, especially like on social media, like downplay people to have jobs and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And, like entrepreneurship, like, like there is no clock and all this stuff and like showing off all the time and stuff. And everybody's not really meant to be like an entrepreneur. Like my wife just got a job after 10 years because our kids are finally old enough, and she likes it. Like she just wants to work. She doesn't want to be an entrepreneur. You know what I mean? And I think people should be more accepting of like how people are, who they are, where they are in their life, and to know that there's just different types of people. Like everybody's not meant to be a creator, to create. You know what I mean? To be an entrepreneur, you have to create. Some people just don't like the stress. Like my wife, I tell my wife, like, I don't like the stress. I don't like this stuff. It's stressing me out. She's like, yes, you do. You like it. But she our wives like know us better than us. She's like, you like being stressed out. I'm like, no, I don't like being stressed out. Like now we're like arguing about it. Like, no, I don't like being stressed. Yes, you do like being stressed out. She's like, you attract it. She understands the law of attraction. So I don't know. So I just wanted to touch on that. I think, and this is my opinion. Like I said, I mean, if you don't mind me sharing, like, I'm not going to be on this show and say I have the right or wrong answer. I can only share my perspective. I just thought I would share that.
I love that perspective. One of the guiding ideals that I have in my mind as far as like communication is, the first few words purportedly spoken by God in the Bible is let there be light, right? And so not that I'm perfect in this, but the idea is if we can speak light to everyone, if we can love employees, love entrepreneurs, lift, inspire people wherever they're at, like that, like let there be light everywhere, the world will be a better place. And like, as you were highlighting for entrepreneurs, you can attract people by making fun of them. Like you're going to have a hard time doing that. So it's a great business tip too, is praise people wherever they're at. And I don't remember who said this, but it was someone great who said there is value in all work. There is value in all work. And I just love how you highlighted that. I'm totally in alignment with that. I think it's a great point, Dan. I have to ask you too, talking about your wife, because I was chuckling because it's like, oh man, I'm looking at a mirror. Like some of the conversations I have with my wife. Do you ever say to I don't do this all the time, but every once in a while, I'm like, maybe I should just get a job because like I look at this like and I joke with my wife. I'm like, if I was to get a job, I would get one like with no stress. I would get one where I maybe was a delivery driver. Well, all I had to do was like, they give me a set of instructions and I go there and my mind doesn't have to think about anything. And she knows me like your wife knows you. And she's like, oh, stop it. You love what you do and stuff. But you ever have those times where you're like, man, maybe it would just be easier to get a job.
Yeah, definitely. Of course. Hit the button at the end of the day and it'd be over. Yeah.
Yep. Cool.
Definitely.
So I'm not alone. Cool. So let's jump into business a little bit. Did you always want to be an entrepreneur, or was there a time in your life where you remember that seed being planted?
Yeah. Awesome. I love that question. I always like to ask that question too. I definitely feel like I was always an entrepreneur, like for like the whole, like Gary Vaynerchuk talks about it too. Like some people believe it's like hereditary and some people believe it's like in your DNA. And I don't know. There's different beliefs about it, but I definitely think I was always like that. You know, I delivered newspapers and, you know, just I like sold and wheeled and dealed like whatever I could. You know what I mean? It's just like it's always been in my nature, you know, to buy and sell and dream big. You know, just dream big. Like I want to. You know, I want to be great. You know, I want to be even greater. Or people already think I'm great. I want to be greater though. You know what I mean? Like, so it's always been in my nature to be great. And I feel like entrepreneurship, you know, working for yourself and being a creator. You know, when you're an entrepreneur, you're a creator. You have to create things out of thin air. I just told my friend Dave, he just quit his job to go full time in his business. And I was like, you burn the boats, man. You burn the boats. So I'm like, I can't believe you burn the boats. So I'm like, I'm calling him. He's like, he's probably thinking like, what do you call me for? I'm like, yeah, well, how you doing, dude? He's like, he burned the boats, man. So he has to be creative now. He doesn't have a choice. You know, he's got to look forward now. But I don't know how I got into that, but
I love it. Shout out to Dave. Woohoo! Great job, man. That's awesome.
Yeah. Dave Gross. Dave Gross, his name is. He's on he listens to your I think your Rich Call too.
Oh, cool. So, awesome. So you your first venture in entrepreneurship was you had a lawn care business, right?
Yeah, well, my first introduction to entrepreneurship was Amway, actually.
Oh, okay.
So that was before I did that for like almost 2 years and failed. And then I started a landscaping business at 19. I think I was still dabbling with like Amway, thinking that I could make it work. I think I was just young. People didn't take me that very seriously. You know, back then, and I had to go through the motion. You know, I hear you talk about it all the time, Paul. Like, yeah, you know, 5 years, 7 years. It took me like, you know, it takes like 7 years to master a trade. Like, you know, like by statistics, like by average, like some people can compress time and do it in a year, 2 years, or 3 years. Like Tony Robbins, right? He wanted to be the best speaker. So people would speak once a month. He would speak every day. 30 days, so you get like 30 months worth of, you know, so you can always compress time, but sometimes we're not in a position to compress time. Sometimes our mindset's not in a position to compress time, you know what I mean? So it's like, you know what I mean? So like, no matter what, you got to go through the time. You know, like in wrestling and jiu-jitsu and stuff, we call it like mat time. Like you got to get the mat time in, you know what I mean? Like you can't just go out there. Like you got to put in the work. You got to do the push-ups. No one can do your push-ups for you. You know what I mean? So it's like one thing I tell people, like when I'm coaching people and stuff, I'm like, I want to do it for you, man, but like I can't. You know, like you got to do the push-ups. Like you're not putting the work. I know you're not putting the work by what you're telling me. Like you're not putting the work. I can't feel the pain when you're talking. I can't feel the pain. I should be able to feel the pain when you're talking, because I should be able to feel that you're going through the motion. You know what I mean? Like I should be able to feel it. You know what I mean? And you know, that's one thing. You can't do people's push-ups for them. You know, they got to do their own push-ups. And
that's
I'm not even sure how I got into. I'm not even sure how I got into that tangent. I just sort of I'm rambling.
I think this came up in our interview too, but it's one of the frustrating parts of doing the best that you can to coach people and help them get to where they want to be. Is you can't take that away from them. But it's also probably the greatest lesson to just dig in there and do, you know, get the mat time in, like you said.
Yeah. It's like you could be the coach, right? Like the personal trainer. He's like, push. Like you could push. You could tell them, you can give them words of encouragement. You know, you can try to push them, but they still got to do their own push-ups. Mm-hmm. Yep. You know what I mean? And then they got to be able to, then they got to be doing it when no one's looking. You know what I mean?
Yep. When no one's looking. Yep. So tell me why and or how did you transition out of, it sounds like you were in network marketing, then you were in landscaping, and then you got into e-commerce. Was it like ABC like that? Or like, what was your journey that finally led you to focus more on e-commerce? And I know you had some success in network marketing as well. It just wasn't in Amway, right?
Yeah, it wasn't in Amway. Yeah. So that's a great question. And it's something that I always say, because I'm always like, our the pathway changes, as you go, and like, it's like your perspective changes, right? Your perspective changes over time. So, In 2000 and like one cool thing about my landscape business is like from the network marketing space and stuff, I learned to be a great student of personal development. And so like all these years, I was a salesperson for my company. I worked in the trenches too, but I was a salesperson for my own company. So I would listen to personal development in the car, Zig Ziglar, Jim Rohn, Tony Robbins, Les Brown, like all these people. I would listen to them in the car all the time. And, I would just keep on working on myself. And I think that's had a great impact on my life. But anyway, doing all that, all these years in 2008 and 9, like the market was just bad. Like I would go to collect money from my landscaping business and people would be like, turning the lights off and acting like they're not in the house. And and then I would be going to pay my bills and it would be hard for me to pay my bills because my customers weren't paying me and stuff like that. Right. So I remember in the back of my head, what the reason why I was saying it, like listening to all this stuff in my car over the years is because like in the back of my head, I'm thinking like financial freedom, like you can have better, it could be better than this. Like, but really my perspective now is that it's all work, network marketing, commerce, brick and mortar. It's all really work, really. I mean, I don't think that any of them are any better than each other. I think it's just what you're feeling at the time. But anyway, so in 2008 and 9, I was like, I'm going to start a side business, an eBay business. So I had my cousin Jenny, I had her working for $10 an hour out of my house, taking pictures of items and pick packing and shipping them and doing my customer service. And I was called McCall Coins and Collectibles and Souvenirs or something like that. It was like an LLC. I made it. And I was selling collectible products like the books for like the coins and tubes, and I was selling coins that were like a specific way and things like that. And precious.
Were you just finding them on the street or were you buying them somewhere online?
Yeah, I was going to auctions. And then I was finding wholesalers to sell me supplies. And I was like, this is a cool niche. I could do this. This could be a cool niche. Like it was kind of neat to me. You know what I mean? I don't think it's that great now. I don't think it's a great niche, but yeah, I did that and I broke even for almost 2 years just having her working in and out of the house. I still got 6 landscaping trucks and 2 trailers and, multiple crews working, secretary, assistant, and all that stuff going with that stuff. And, and I have her doing that and I just failed in that too. Just like the network marketing, almost 2 years failed in that, This
is in your 20s, right? Your mid 20s.
2008 and 9, I'm 28, 29.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's my later 20s now. So I do that. And then I'm like, all right, network marketing, maybe I could do it network marketing. So I joined this network marketing company. I'll keep it generic and not even say the name, but it was like a health and wellness company. And I don't know, 2 months in, I made over $1,000 in a month. And I was like, wow, you can actually make money in this. I didn't know, because I didn't really have the belief before. I signed up a bunch of people and I got bonuses. So it wasn't even it was legit residual. It was I don't know. I think I made.
Were you prospecting friends and family, people from? Oh
yeah, friends, family. I was doing whatever it takes.
Whatever.
Yeah, just trying to get in there. If I get enough momentum, it'll stick, right? So.
I love it.
But anyway, yeah. So I built a residual income with it, nothing crazy, I was doing that on the side of my landscaping business too, trying to make it network marketing and things like that. And I even got asked to speak, I got asked to speak at this event, about hitting the goals, because I hit all the goals that they put in front of me. I just hit them all. They're like, who is this guy? He hits every goal he says he's going to hit. So I got to speak, and that was pretty cool. I did my first speak in front of the room, in front of 100 people, and I had this little clicker, and I was talking about how you hit your target. If you don't have a target, if you don't have a target, you can't hit it. It's in life, if you don't have, I was talking about if you throw in darts, if you throw darts and there's no dartboard, that's kind of reckless, right? And I was talking about how that's how people live their life, reckless, throwing darts without a dartboard, you know what I mean? I did this whole goals thing, and that's awesome. That was fun. But yeah, so I did that, for a while. In 2012 and 13, I started getting into more of the internet marketing stuff, and I started having $1,000 days with a program that you were involved in too. And I was like, wow, this this works, man. I can do this, man. I can make this program has a good
How'd you find the internet? I'm curious. Did you see an ad on the internet, a video, an article? Do you remember?
It's a great question. Oh, you know how I did? I was in a health and wellness company, and then I got another. This is a good question because you're going to know all these people, and you're going to think it's interesting, probably. So I was in this health and wellness company, and I moved to another health and wellness company, and I became in a downline in this other health and wellness company of Cedric Harris, Layla Black, Franco Gonzalez, Dawn Mars, like all those people, and I made friends with them and was like, well, how do you guys recruit people and stuff? You know what I mean? And some of them were like internet marketers, you know what I mean? So that's how I got introduced to internet marketing through a network marketing program. They were doing, an affiliate marketing program that you were doing too, on the side of that.
Right.
Do you remember that time?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
So that's how I was interested. I was like, hey, these people are doing this. How you guys are I'm working the phone, and it seemed like they were attracting business faster than me. You know what I mean? I'm like, they don't seem like they're, better skilled, talking to people, but they do. But some of them people were out recruiting me. You know what I mean? But then I went into my whatever it takes mode, and I out recruited a whole bunch of them folks. That year, 2013, and
so some people do beast mode on, and you do whatever it takes on. Hit that on button for the whatever it takes mode.
Yeah, I was proud of myself. I actually met you. You didn't know me yet. I met you at there was an event in Denver. I was number 104 in the top 200. And I beat out some of my old mentors that I knew from all other network marketing companies. Was like, wow, I can make it with this stuff, and then I got to another program, it was an info product for e-commerce, and I did well on the affiliate side and the e-commerce side, and that was 2013, 14. Mm-hmm. In 2014, I had a breakthrough in the e-commerce space. The summer of 2014, I made $10,000 in a month selling these toothbrushes.
So let me pause you real quick. So before we jump into that, I want to ask you one more question, which was, how were you generating traffic when you were doing the network marketing and internet marketing? Was there a strategy that was your favorite that you were using?
Okay. Yeah. Good question. I mean, I wasn't that, I honestly, Paul, here was my strategy. I would just work my ass off. I would just social media, making videos, blogging, sharing my blog, talking on the phone. I was like a friggin' maniac. I didn't know what I was doing, but I figured if I did enough, people would think I knew what I'm doing. That was honestly my strategy. I made all these generic Facebook groups. Remember when that was popular to post on Facebook?
Yep.
3 years ago? I made all these generic Facebook groups with me at the top,
I love it.
I made all these generic Facebook groups, and thousands of people added to them. And then I would have on those banners, I would have an opt-in, the opt-in to my stuff. And I didn't know what I was doing. I just was trying to make it look like I knew what I was doing. You know what I mean? I felt I just was working my butt off.
Which is kind of a secret in and of itself, right? Be the leader. Even if you're not the leader, just be the leader. Just do whatever it takes to just show up and lead, right?
Yeah. I heard this saying before too, it's some people in their business, they're not present. Some of them are present sometimes. It's a 4-part thing here. So some of them are just not present in business. So number 1. Number 2, some of them are present sometimes. And then number 3, some of them are present. They're all right. And then there's number 4, the big one, omnipresent.
Omnipresent.
That's what I was. I was omnipresent. I didn't know what the hell I was doing, but I was omnipresent. People were like, I'm seeing him everywhere. Seems like he knows what he's doing. But really, I didn't really feel like I knew what I was doing. But maybe I did. Maybe I did know what I was doing. Maybe I was being omnipresent and I knew that somehow or something. You know what I mean? And that's
awesome.
Making me attractive. You know what I mean?
Awesome.
But really, I was no big shot. I became really good friends with my friend Josh Elder. We were at the top 200 meeting together. And
oh yeah.
Yeah, me and him became really good friends. We would talk on video every night and stuff. And he did all of his recruits by YouTube, by making YouTube videos. And I'm like, how? He's like, how'd you do yours? I'm like, oh, Facebook, the phone, like whatever I could do. He's like, it was really easy to get here, wasn't it? I was like, it didn't feel easy to get here. I worked really hard. And, yeah. So like I was attracted to Josh after that, and, so I got into YouTube, and I've learned to attract some pretty good business on YouTube over the last few years, but I wasn't that good at it at first. I didn't know what I was doing.
Oh man, such a great story. So funny and so insightful all at the same time. I'm glad you went into that, Dan. Okay, so come back to where you were. So you kind of made a transition from that company is how I'm imagining it to another company that was similar in that it was network marketing, but it was also doing e-commerce. So you probably got into that thinking you're going to recruit, you're going to do some e-commerce, and then something happened.
Yeah, so I'm doing that in the background, and let me just say this too. Let me just say this raw truth too. Is it I sold my landscaping business in 2012 and 13, and with doing this and burning the boats, I burned the boats, man. It burned the boats. It's painful, So like it was like 1 month you like make all this money, like the next month you don't make nothing. You know what I mean? And like it's like I lived off of my assets while I worked on this new. On my new dreams, and learning how to make money online, through affiliate marketing and through e-commerce and stuff like that. So it definitely wasn't easy. You know what I mean? I just want to point that out. It's the raw truth. But when you burn the boats, you know what I mean? I think I said that like 4 or 5 times. But there ain't no looking back when you burn the boats, man. You know what I mean? You got to discharge the the battlefield or whatever. So, but anyway, yeah, 2014, I had a pretty good breakthrough. It was kind of like the breakthrough I had with network marketing, like that first $1,000 plus month in 2010. I was like, wow, you can make money. The summer of 2014, I made like $10,000 selling these toothbrushes. They were generic toothbrushes, and it was short lived. It didn't last long, but the one company, Oral-B, made me take them all down and everything like that because it was like copyright infringement and stuff like that. I didn't even know what I was doing. But for me at that time, I was like, wow, that was my breakthrough for that. I was like, wow, so I could just do this with another product. I just got to find a different product to do this with. You know what I mean? So I went on and became a practitioner, of the e-commerce space since, now it's 2017. I've had, better months and better days, since. So.
And is there, so right now, do you do e-commerce mainly, or do you still do any network marketing on the side? And then also tell me because I know there's like a ton of people out there that want to make a full-time income from home, right? And as network marketers, we like to pretend like our way is the only way, but it's not, right? There's other ways out there. And so I'd love for you to speak a little bit to that because you've been on both sides of the fence, and wherever you're at now can, I think, help that as well. So.
Yeah. So that's a great question. So right now I pretty much just sell my own products and my own coaching. I created my first info product a little over a year ago. I was doing drop shipping on Amazon, doing really well. And I got frustrated with it at the time. I was like, I'm only going to do FBA. And that's considered like fulfillment by Amazon. That's where you send product into Amazon. They ship it out. And I worked that in 2016. 2016. Get my years mixed up, all this stuff. So in the beginning of 2016. Yeah. I had to like map everything out. Yeah. So at the beginning of 2016, I was like, I'm just going to do FBA, on Amazon. That's what I'm going to make my niche. And I just went, I just took my numbers up each month. It was like 10,000 a month, 20,000 a month, 30,000 a month, 40,000 a month, 50,000 a month.
So let me make sure I understand that. So is that like you have your Amazon link and you're driving traffic to that link and Amazon's fulfilling? Is that right? Or
so with Amazon, in comparison to like other stuff, with Amazon, they're the king. They're the king of the retail space. They're the pigs. They're the retail pigs, man. So they do all the marketing and selling for you. You don't have to do no marketing or selling when you're just using their platform. So which is not as good too, because it's like you don't own the platform.
Oh, so you're bringing the product to Amazon, right?
Yeah,
like you're finding the product.
you do your homework and make sure the product sells, then and you can make a profit off it, and you send it in.
You actually send it to Amazon. You ship the products to Amazon.
Yeah, and you can either do that yourself or you use a fulfillment center.
Okay, gotcha.
So which made sense to me, because drop shipping's cool. It's like the laptop lifestyle, but like I like the brick and mortar kind of feel too, because that's where I came from too. So like got heavy into that, and the summer, I don't know, I guess like the beginning of the summer, I hit like $50,000 a month in sales, and like just doing only FBA. Like, so I've dabbled, like I've done like lots of different models in the e-commerce space. And all my friends that were doing they were all doing like $100,000 a month in sales, drop shipping or more, but none of them were doing FBA like me. They're only, just dabbling with it. So a whole bunch of different people wanted to learn from me. Like, how'd you do that? Like, what's your system? Like, how'd you do that? So my first month with that, I decided to take on 10 clients for $1,000 each, for me to coach them for a month. So I did that. I ended up signing up 9 people for that first month doing that. Not sign them up. I mean, I guess to sign them up. That was coaching them. It wasn't like they bought something like a course. But anyway, so I went on to coaching all these people for the next, months or whatever. And I kept making videos to explain how to do everything. So by me doing that, ended up having a full course that wasn't like built inside of anything. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So from that happening, I ended up by default creating my first like info product, which was for Amazon FBA. You know what I mean? And that was like the fall of 2016 of last year, like around right now, a year ago today. So I created my first like info product and then sold that product too. So I sold coaching up to that. Then I started selling the coaching that came with a course. Then I just started selling the course because I was like, I don't feel like talking. I don't feel like coaching anybody at this time. You go through different times, right? Like I was talking about perspectives change. Like you don't feel like doing it, but yeah. So then I created another. Then I was selling that course on Craigslist, and I'm creating a Craigslist course on how I was selling them courses on Craigslist. So then I had the course, the Amazon course on Craigslist. I was selling, but wasn't selling as much. Then I made a mini course of the same thing with an upsell to the bigger course, sold the mini course on Craigslist. Once I did that, once I created a mini course, I had 4 sales in one day, like a couple days later. And then people were upgrading to the bigger course. I was like, wow, this is cool. I want to make a course on how to do this. And then I made a course on a mini Craigslist course. Started selling that too. It's just funny how things just stem. Like I never teach anything that I don't know, Paul.
Right.
So if I do something and it works, then I'm like, all right, cool. I can sell this information. It's good. It's good information. You know what I mean? So ever since I've been selling info products, I buy it like by accident, kind of.
I was just imagining like buying any one of your info products and it's like, okay, fulfillment by Amazon, purchase, open it up. Hey, this is Dan McCall and I'm going to teach you how to do fulfillment by Amazon. Are you ready? Get out your notepad, whatever it takes. Thanks for your purchase. Have an awesome day. No, just kidding. Just kidding. So right now you're not doing any like e-commerce sales specifically, or you're doing mostly coaching on what you've done. Is that right?
Yeah, no, I say a practitioner of what I preach. I have a store on Amazon and a store on eBay.
Oh, okay.
So we're making full-time money there. Even more so than coaching or selling courses. We're just kind of selling courses more passively at the moment. So, but we're probably going to do a Q4 special and, and do some, sell some coaching and stuff like that.
Gotcha. So what type of person would be a better fit for e-commerce versus network marketing or maybe even affiliate direct sales? Like, are there qualities or characteristics that you see would equip someone to be a better fit for e-commerce?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I have friends in the space that are just like my friend Kellen, like he's just like, he's he's good at like logistics and like he's like a worrywart. Like he doesn't like to speak on camera. Like people that just don't really. I mean, these kinds of skills can be developed too. But like some people don't really like to sell, you know what I mean? They just don't like to sell. Like people that don't like to sell, but they want to be a business person, you know, e-commerce is good because you can just rely on the marketing aspect, you know what I mean? Not that you can't do that network marketing too. Of course you can get good at marketing and sell without talking to people too. But I think that transfer of energy transfers through your marketing. So like if you're not good at selling on the phone, I feel like this is my own personal belief. You can tell me if you disagree. If you do, you do. If you don't, you don't. It doesn't matter. But I feel like if you're not good at like selling on the phone or in person or whatever, I feel like it doesn't transfer into your marketing and work as well. You know, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think, let's see. I'm not sure. I think if you're like, I'm trying to think of like, okay, so like, what's the definition of sales? Like for me, I do sales, but I don't see myself as like a salesperson. And that's only because like when I connect with people, it's not about like selling them. It's more about like developing a little bit of a relationship, seeing if I can help them. Yeah, it's like the traditional network marketing. Like, hey, you know, if I could show you this, would you be open? You know, getting solutions. But that being said, Zig Ziglar said sales is not a thing in the world, but a transference of feeling. So if you're not like excited about that process, or you're not excited about your product or your service, which is sales, be it on the phone or in person or whatever, then that probably will absolutely translate over to your marketing. I don't know if that answers the question, but
yeah, that's a good response in relation to it. And you know, that goes to belief too. I think anybody can sell if they believe in it. You know, you just have to, if you believe in something, you'll just beat people's doors down. You know what I mean? You'll be like, you'll grab them by their shoulders, you know, shake them.
Yeah.
You know, tell them like, this is it. You know, if you believe in something enough, and if you're selling something you don't believe in as much, what you need to do is you need to do your homework and just you know, and resell yourself, you know, on the deal. Because if you're not sold yourself, you can't sell other people. Yeah. You know, on the deal. And I always say the best sale is when everybody wins. You know what I mean? The best sale is when everybody wins. You know what I mean? And that's where you know, in sales we position ourselves. You know, we become a better coach. We become a better marketer. We become a better you know, person in general. They can lift people up in all kinds of other areas in their life as well. You know, when you position yourself well, you're able to help people well. So it is an equal gain. It's an equal gain, an equal transfer of energy. Like if you sell somebody, if you're selling opportunity, you know, and you're good at it, you know what I mean? And you're just, it's an equal transfer of energy, because they're going to get a lot out of just getting to spend more time around you and learning and growing with you. You know what I mean? And you're a practitioner of it. You're a grinder. You do it all the time, so they can learn from you, and you lead by example. They get to learn from you. So it's you know, it's best to you know, to buy from people, you know, in my opinion, that are like that. Like a lot of people, like, especially like in the internet marketing, network marketing space, a lot of people teach the whole like put your feet up and sit on an island and drink a pina colada type of thing. And I don't even resonate with that. Like personally, I think that is like I resonate with people that are grinders, like that like to work, but like can come and go as they please, do what they want, when they want, with whom they want, live life on their terms. Like, see, I got it down from doing YouTube videos. Like it's like it doesn't mean don't work. It just means you can stop and start whenever you want to.
Right, you know? Right. Like what kind of a vision or what kind of value are you adding to the world by just kicking back, drinking a pina colada 24/7? Like, sure, it might sound good. It's like why we all get in network marketing, because we want to be lazy. And then we realize, oh, wait a minute. I got to work. But then you also realize that, you know, we're not here to just kick back and be lazy. Like that's a wasted life, right? Like we're here to fulfill our potential, like, have freedom. And like you said, go where we want, when we want, with whom we want. But in that process, we're here to be something, you know, we're here to do something. We're here to help people. And like you said, that other message, it just doesn't resonate with me like it doesn't resonate with you. So I love that. That's such a great point. So be a little bit careful in the marketing that we do, you know, that we're putting out the right message, you know?
Yeah. And here's the thing about that too. I'll tell you right now, anybody that's watching this or catches this live or the recording or whatever, I mean, in business, it's like every time I've ever put my feet up is when things have started just hitting the fan. Like I like in my landscaping business, I would put I had everything systematized, you know, foreman's work, watching every people, secretary, assistant, like good structure, like a good system, right? The best businesses are when it's like a good system, like McDonald's, right? We like network marketing. A lot of people give the example of McDonald's, or like it can be ran by teenagers. Why can it be ran by teenagers? As a good system, right? So like you get your business down to where it's a good system. At the same time, you are the system operator. So
Right.
you cannot put your feet up too much. Like I've done this in the past. When my feet up too much, my workers would go to work. They would go there early, clock in, hang out for an hour, or leave, go get breakfast, come back. Then they would get done work, leave, and come back and clock out later, and add all this time to the clock. They started stealing from me, you know, by adding hours on the clock and stuff like that. I had my employees do that to me because I gave them too much leeway. You know, it's my fault. So you got to take ownership for it. So you got to take ownership, right?
Got to take ownership.
So yeah, so like, you know, I did that. It was my fault. I did the same thing in you know, in the e-commerce space too. Like I put my feet up, everything's working good, then the sales start dropping. You know, it's like you're like not paying attention to your business anymore. You know what I mean? So it's like systems are great, but we're the system operators. You know what I mean? So,
Yep.
Yeah.
So we've got about 15 minutes left, and dude, I could go all day long, like talking to you and interviewing you, because you're just such a great guy and you got so much value to share. I want to bump back just real quick on the question that I asked you about network marketing versus e-commerce. I want to make sure that I understand what you were saying correctly. So it sounds like e-commerce could be more of like a behind the scenes, analytical, you know, making things happen behind the scenes. You don't have to be like the upfront face, voice, connector, guy on the video, gal on the video, right? Is that right? Like, is that kind of what you're saying there?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And then I also just wanted to say on top of that, as you were talking about that, I was thinking about Mike Hobbs, because Mike Hobbs is like you know, friend of ours, earned over 7 figures from home. And he's more of the analytical, behind the scenes, like doesn't really like the phone. In fact, he said last night that I'm the only person he ever talks to on the phone, but he's made a lot of money. So even that being said, there are counter examples of where, like you said earlier, you can be successful, you can develop skills. But that's really great. Those are really great points to be aware of if you're looking for a business model.
That example too. I was trying to think of people, because I know people are good at it. Like Hobbs, like that was a good example.
Yeah. So let me ask you a few rapid fire questions here to kind of close out the last few minutes. The first one is, what are, and you've talked about a couple of them, and maybe you'll just repeat these, but like, what are the top principles that guide your life and your business? Like, what are the top principles or values or even beliefs that you would say help you to do what you need to do?
Yeah. So that's a good question. My top beliefs. One of them I've been thinking of a lot lately. I just gave you the ones that are like been on my mind as the most recent, I guess. Like I was saying earlier, perspectives change over time, and yeah, I mean, I'm a really big believer in like how you do anything is how you do everything. You know what I mean? So like, if you follow me on Facebook, you definitely, I mean, anybody that follows me on Facebook knows, because I put my life out there, like on social media and stuff like that. I really do try to do the best in everything that I do, like as a parent, as a husband, as like an athlete. You know, my spiritual life, I need to work on my spiritual life. I'm not, I haven't did the best job in my spiritual life. Well, you know what, I would say more religious. I'm very spiritual. I just don't feel like I resonate 100% with any religion.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, so like, you know, and everything that I do, like, it's just like one of my big beliefs is like, it definitely is like, you know, how you do anything is how you do everything. In business, I want to be the best business person I could be. I always tell people, I always say, people don't bet on the racetrack, they bet on the horse. So I always want to be that person. I want to be the horse that people bet on, you know what I mean? And you know, so that resonates, you know, that kind of goes back to how you do anything is how you do everything. Because if you always show up, you always do whatever it takes. But one of my beliefs is that you have to do whatever it takes. Like if you want to be successful or if you want to have something great, you have to do whatever it takes. And Yeah. Time is a valuable commodity. People don't value time. It's one thing that is a little bit frustrating to me, a little sidetrack, like with like the business world. Like, everybody can just call themselves an entrepreneur. I'm an entrepreneur. Then you try to get it like try to do some kind of business with them, and they don't show up. They're not there when they say they're going to be there. And I'm just like, well, if this person's like this and this, he's probably not showing up in other areas of his life, whether it's like with his health, his spiritual life, his business, his family. It's like you can really tell how people are. For the most part, I think, this is my opinion, like by how they construct their day to day. It's all one of my big beliefs is that you have to have discipline. You got to have discipline. You gotta show up every day, whether you want to show up or not. You gotta have discipline, because it's not what you do once that matters. It's what you do a little bit each day over a long period of time that really makes a difference. So it's all about one of the secrets is the DMO. It's the DMO, the daily method of operation. Because if you're not bringing it daily, and you're not consistent, you can get sidetracked. And it's like, if you don't show up one day, that could set you back a week, a month, or a year. So you have to, not just one day, but you get the point. I always like to say when I'm speaking or talking about something is just get the point. Get the point. Don't break down every tiny little piece. The point is that if your DMO ain't good and you let it get broken, it does take longer to get back into flow. I mean? There is a flow. I always like to say momentum is real. You might not be able to see it or touch it, but it's real. When you break it, it takes a little while for it to get back into its flow. And that's why the DMO is so valuable. And that's one of my beliefs is, to do anything extraordinary, you got to structure yourself and have a good DMO. And that's another reason why doing cool things like you do, Paul. Like you do your Thinking You're Rich call Monday through Friday. That's your DMO. You show up, and you do not want to show up every day. I know you don't, but you show up every day. Yeah. Whether you want to or not. It's painful. Sometimes you don't want to do it. You know what I mean? But you structure yourself to have DMO. Yeah. You're disciplined. You're extremely disciplined and extremely like the kind of person that people should follow, because you always show up even when you don't want to. I just know that about you. So I appreciate that. So those are some of my beliefs. I don't know if I answered your question.
No, that's perfect. So discipline, whatever it takes, and how you do anything is how you do everything. Those are extremely powerful, man. So thank you for sharing those. So a couple of the quick questions. Do you have a favorite quote or a set of quotes that has inspired you over the years or inspires you now?
Yeah, good question. That's funny. What's funny too? This is something that I do too that people can do. That's a good tip for people. I always say good question. It usually means I don't know the answer right away. And it also compliments the person for answering the question. I don't know if you ever do that too, Paul.
I will now.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, a couple of my favorite quotes, or a couple of them we already touched on, like how you do anything is how you do everything. That's one of my favorites. Zig Ziglar's one was my favorite for a long time. Is his one, if you help, I forget even how it's said. You probably know how it is more than me. It's like, if you help enough people get what they want, you'll get what you want, like by default or something. Like, I forget exactly how it's worded. That was one of my favorites for years, just to touch on the past. It hasn't really been as been present, because I've been more in the e-commerce space. So I haven't been maybe I need to be focused more on that quote, because it's good to help people, right? So, but yeah, whatever it takes. That's a big, philosophy. I call these things philosophies. It's like what you live by them. So, yeah, that's all I can think of. That's all I can think of.
That's great. That's perfect. What was, okay. So if there was one or two or three books that you have gifted most to other people, or would gift, if you're a book gifter, what would those or that book be, and why?
Okay. Great question. Yeah. So I've read lots of books, and listened to a heck of a lot more than I've read. I like to listen to books. Um, the one that it's like had such a great impact on me in the last year. Like I've been like listening to audiobooks for like the last 20 years, so like this goes to show you like this book hit me like a bag of bricks, man. Like and it was just this past year. It's a 10X rule by Grant Cardone. And then I went into which is like part two of that, which is be obsessed or be average. And the things that he shares in there are just, they're not things that normal people talk about. It's just like, so those are two really good ones that I'll share. And Think and Grow Rich, man. Be a practitioner of it, man. Don't put it don't read it and put it back on the shelf, man. Be a practitioner of the book, man. I was just telling you how I was studying like the sex transmutation chapter. Like every chapter in there, like I take it real seriously. I go crazy. I'm like, I need to study this. Like I want to hear everybody's perspectives on it. Like, so that's funny.
We won't tell the listeners what our exact conversation was like, but we had some chuckles. That's so cool. That's so cool. So I'll ask you three last questions. Spirituality in entrepreneurship, is it important, and why? And share with us a little bit about how spirituality inspires you. I know you said that you are a spiritual person, so just talk to us a little bit about that. Sure.
Yeah. So like I just did a deal. With somebody, and it's like I'm very spiritual. Like it's crazy. I'll just tell you this crazy short story. Like I was just doing some work, and I was like, I need an extra $10,000 right now to make this thing work. And I just feel like if you're thinking about stuff enough, like maybe this might not be exactly spirituality, but like our thoughts are like, they're like energy, like they just flow out into the universe. And it's crazy because I'm like thinking I need an extra $10,000 for this project. And I kid you not, one of my cousins calls me up and says, yo, what can you do with $10,000?
What? Really?
This just happened to me this past weekend.
Are you serious?
So me and him made a deal, and we're helping each other out. He's going to give me a $10,000 loan to help me with a project I'm doing. And I'm like, well, how do you feel about it? Do you feel good about it? He's like, yeah, I feel good because we're both helping each other. I was like, all right, let's do the deal. So like, when I'm talking to him, I'm thinking like, how can you feel? Can you feel in your gut? Like it feels good. So like in business and spirituality, like I feel like you can go with your intuition. I feel like people should listen to their intuition more, because like every time I wouldn't listen to my intuition, listen to that gut feeling in your gut. Like it's like, you can just, if it feels good, you can feel it. Like you can feel it. Like when you do business with people, they should be able to look you in the eyes, shake your hand, talk to you. You should be able to talk about any part of it. You should be able to ask each other questions like the good salesperson, like, how do you feel about it? Like, how do you feel about it? Like that's a spiritual question, I think. How do you feel about it? Like, do you feel good? So I think spirituality plays a big role, and in business. And if you just always tell the truth, you just never have to remember anything. Just be honest. Be honest. Be a good business person, and be that horse that people bet on. Because like I said earlier, people don't bet on the racetrack; they bet on the horse. And you want to be that horse. Be a good, highly spiritual, good person that people can rely on. Be the person people can rely on. You know what I mean? And I think that's all spiritual. I think it's all spiritual, man. Like I said a prayer. We just lost a family member recently on my in-law side. And I'm the person that will like pray. And it's funny because people can really feel what other people are feeling, I think, because I'm like praying, like there's a whole table of us here and I'm praying. I'm like, thank you, Father, for this food. Thank you for the fellowship. We're grateful, Lord, to have us all together here. I look at that food. It's great. I'm like just talking. I just talk when I pray, and I'm like, life's hard. And, because we just lost somebody, and I'm talking, and I'm like sitting there, and I'm like, I usually don't do that, like where I get stuck and I don't say it, because I'm like, there's nothing really I can say to make this feel better.
Yeah.
because it's like there's nothing you could say. And then this guy John, it was his wife that just passed away. He goes, "Amen, Dan," because I'm paused and I'm frozen. I don't know what to say.
Wow.
And I was like, I hope you know that I was just trying to think of something that I can say for you guys. And he's like, I could feel it. You know what I mean? I could feel it. And he just like closed out my prayer for me. He said, "Amen, Dan." And like that's pretty spiritual, right? Like so, like
yeah.
We can feel each other. You know, we can feel each other. That just happened this weekend. I was just,
wow,
pretty crazy stuff, man. Like I just never. That spiritual vibration in the room, you can just feel it. It's like people don't really, nobody's talking, but everybody in the room understands each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that
I
was
love
cool.
that. Thanks
Cool,
for sharing
powerful.
that. Thanks for sharing that. That's a little bit of what I like to think that being heart-centered means, like that you're tuned into that thing that none of us can maybe really define in exact words, but we all sense, or many of us anyway, sense that is there. Like there's this greater something, purpose, essence, and you really tapped into that really well with that story. So appreciate you sharing that. Last two questions, man, and then we'll let everyone go. And also I want to give everyone a chance to connect with you as well. Any purchases or purchase that you've made in the last 3 to 6 months under 50 or $100 that have positively impacted your life?
Yeah, cool. So I'll just tap right back into those two books that I recommended earlier, the 10X Rule and Be Obsessed and Be Average. I bought the audio CDs. I should probably get into using Audible like everybody else does, but
perfect.
I bought those 2 books. Those are definitely recommend those.
Okay. And these last 2 questions, by the way, I'm stealing from Tim Ferriss. Shame, sorry, man, stealing the questions. They're good questions. Last question is, if you could put one message on a billboard and have everyone see it, what would the message be?
The first thing, so I don't have a plain answer for this, obviously. So my first, the first words that came to mind were two words. They were "have courage." That was what came to mind.
I love that. Dan McCall, you're a great man. I trust you. I'm grateful for you and your influence in my life. You inspire me and you inspire anyone who has a chance to really get to know you and follow you. So speaking of that, how do people connect with you if they want to learn more about you?
Yeah. So basically they can just look me up anywhere on Facebook or YouTube, just Dan McCall, Daniel McCall. I put out enough content, you'll find me.
You're omnipresent, right?
Omnipresent, baby.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you so much for being here for this interview, and to all the Freedom Crusaders out there in the world listening, want to encourage you to always go for your dreams. If you got value from this podcast, comment down below. If you're seeing this on my blog, give us a great rating and a subscribe on iTunes. And if someone shared this with you and you're listening to this for the first time and you'd like to have future interviews where we interviewed heart-centered Freedom Crusaders like Dan McCall, feel free to subscribe to my list. You can do that by going to paulhutchings.net. So any last words, Dan?
No, man, I'll just touch real quick on my on that billboard thing. Just want to encourage everybody out there to have courage, go for your dreams, go out there and do something you're afraid to do. And that's how you break free. Let's close it out with that.
Beautiful. All right. Thanks for listening, guys. Take care and bye for now.